I've been saying this. I think we need a shadow government, so when all these things come up every single day, we've got an alternate press conference telling the truth about what things are happening. You know what's going out.
All right, Tommy, I just want to start with you. Between insisting that, the Democrats didn't do enough to own DEI and immigration, but now also calling for a shadow government. I mean, is this who you want as the face spokesman for the party right now?
Well, a shadow government doesn't mean a scary government. I think it means the British version where you have like a person in waiting for all the senior cabinet positions going forward. But regarding DEI, let me tell you who would not have put classified information about the Houthi bombing campaign in the Signal group chat. Siku Brown, who was the former chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff until Pete Hegseth fired him. America doesn't have a DEI problem right now. We have a competency problem because we have a Fox News weekend anchor named Pete Hegseth, who you tell me may or may not have been tipsy at the time he was sending around this classified information, breaking all the rules, putting at risk service members, and making terrible decisions while Mike Waltz, the national security advisor,
I just heard a lot of deflection over Tim Waltz. I mean, what does that have anything to do with Tim Waltz saying that there should be more DEI, that there should be more immigration, that there should be a shadow government? I mean, that sounds to me like you don't have an answer to my question and want to deflect. Clay.
My answer to your question is that the
Clay,
black chairman of the Joint Chiefs would not have made the mistakes that Pete Hegseth made.
Okay, well, let me respond to Tommy there. First of all, Tommy, I mean, you're going to try to argue that Pete Hegseth is drinking. I mean, that's completely unsubstantiated,
you tell me, Clay.
Absurd, and untrue.
I don't know.
It's untrue. I mean, it's a ridiculous accusation. Let me tell you what the previous administration did. They had 13 people killed in Afghanistan.
It has been a tough couple of weeks for the folks at the Fox propaganda outlet. Donald Trump is crashing the stock market that they said would surge under him. He is raising prices that they said would fall because of his policies. And now the people who couldn't go a sentence without saying, but Hillary's emails, now have to defend Signalgate, and they just can't. Especially because more and more Democrats are going on Fox and calling out the lies of these hosts. We saw that from Pod Save America host Tommy Vietor, who just disrupted a Fox show so much with this brutal takedown that they kicked him off the air. It was an incredible watch that we're going to check out. But before we do, if I could quickly ask you to leave a like on this video, and if you haven't already and you enjoy our channel, hit that subscribe button. It goes a long way, and it really does mean a lot to me. Now, of course, Tommy was calling out the incompetence of this administration. So before we get to him, I want to take a listen to another Fox liberal who did the same in such a perfect way. That is Jessica Gitarov, right here.
There's still a due process issue here. And there are now numerous cases confirmed of people in that mega prison who should not be. We talked earlier in the week about the Venezuelan gay barber who is not in Tren de Aragua, who's in there. There's a Venezuelan married man with a political asylum claim. He has no tattoos. He was sent because of a paperwork error. And there's another man, a 25-year-old who works as a baker in Dallas, who had an autism awareness tattoo in honor of his 15-year-old brother. He got detained 2 times. The first time he was able to speak to an agent and explain what it was, and he said, no, you're clear. He was detained again in Dallas. They did not care, and they have sent him there.
Yeah, so hopefully we fix these mistakes and we can keep going forward with the deportation.
There is a way to do, you can, it is.
Oh, wait a minute.
Oh, wait a minute.
You mean it's not good enough if you fix the mistake?
I don't think, in the case of the gay barber who had his
to do a due process for every one of them?
Well, there aren't that many. We've only sent, what, 250?
Jessica, you're showing more sympathy to these illegal alien gangbangers than you show to American citizens when you mistakenly let 10 million people
We should have the pictures of the victims of these people and it's real deterrence so the American people and you can see it.
That is not, if you are in the process, if you're in the asylum process, you are given certain due process rights.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, you went through a legal port of entry, you were supposed to see a judge, and then you get picked up and sent for an autism awareness.
Legal or illegal port of entry?
Legal.
Yeah? Really?
Yeah.
There are. I really don't understand how these people are not ashamed of themselves. Well, I do. It's because they actually just don't care at this point. It's their job to lie. I think they kind of enjoy it, but they keep using this word, mistake. It was a mistake. It was a slip-up. It was an accident. Whoopsies! Compromising our national security. putting service members in harm's way. People could have lost their lives. And it was an oopsie? It was a whoopsie-daisy? Like what? It's not a mistake. It is a fireable and criminal offense, not a mistake. And we don't even know if Pete Hegseth was sober when he made this so-called mistake, which is exactly what Tommy Vietor brought up, leading Fox to just freak out. You've got to take a look.
Let's bring in Clay Travis, founder of Outkick, and Tommy Vietor, former Obama national security spokesman and the co-host of Pod Save America. Guys, there's just so much to get to, but I do want to play a little bit more of Tim Walz to kick us off, because I just think there are so many highlights in there that we need to show you one more. Call for number one very quickly, please.
I've been saying this. I think we need a shadow government, so when all these things come up every single day, we've got an alternate press conference telling the truth about what things are happening. You know what's going on.
All right, Tommy, I just want to start with you. Between insisting that, the Democrats didn't do enough to own DEI and immigration, but now also calling for a shadow government, I mean, is this who you want as the face spokesman for the party right now?
Well, a shadow government doesn't mean a scary government. I think it means the British version, where you have like a person in waiting for all the senior cabinet positions going forward. But regarding DEI, let me tell you who would not have put classified information about the Houthi bombing campaign in the Signal group chat. Siku Brown, who was the former chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff until Pete Hegseth fired him. America doesn't have a DEI problem right now. We have a competency problem, because we have a Fox News weekend anchor named Pete Hegseth, who you tell me may or may not have been tipsy at the time he was sending around this classified information, breaking all the rules, putting at risk service members, and making terrible decisions, while Mike Waltz, the national security advisor,
I just heard a lot of deflection over Tim Waltz. I mean, what does that have anything to do with Tim Waltz saying that there should be more DEI, that there should be more immigration, that there should be a shadow government? I mean, that sounds to me like you don't have an answer to my question and want to deflect. Clay.
My answer to your question is that the
Clay,
black chairman of the Joint Chiefs would not have made the mistakes that Pete Hegseth made.
Okay, well, let me respond to Tommy there. First of all, Tommy, I mean, you're going to try to argue that Pete Hegseth is drinking. I mean, that's completely unsubstantiated,
you tell me, Clay.
Absurd,
you tell
and
me.
Untrue.
I don't know.
It's untrue. I mean, it's a ridiculous accusation. Let me tell you what the previous administration did. They had 13 people killed in Afghanistan. Nobody was held accountable for that at all. We had Lloyd Austin, who was our defense secretary, vanish in critical condition in the hospital, and the Biden administration didn't even know about it. We got more coverage of what I will admit was a ham-handed and screwed up addition of a media member onto a group chat than we did 13 dead soldiers in Afghanistan and a defense secretary that went AWOL, and his number two was actually on vacation in the Caribbean, if I remember correctly, and didn't even know why she was in charge. So to me, that is far more significant of a story there.
It sounds like the sort of takeaway from this conversation is that, Democrats still don't have anything new that they want to talk about in terms of what their party wants to stand for.
Everybody knows that. No Democrat
and who's going to lead it in the future. Got to go, guys. We have some breaking news to get to.
If you want to have a case race,
thanks for having you.
Me, Pete
we'll have you back
we'll
again
go against
soon.
the world, man. We'll have a great
Thanks,
time.
Guys.
Now, we covered this in a previous video when we saw a Democratic member of Congress raise this exact question, and I was just so annoyed by the response from MAGA. Oh, the pearl clutching. Oh no, how could you ask such an offensive question? I find it outlandish. Half of the guy's confirmation hearing was about how he's a booze bag. Throwing back gin shots at 6 a.m. because his role as a weekend anchor on Fox and Friends was so trying on his soul. Like, are you serious? It is a completely legitimate question to ask if Pete Hegseth was drinking on the job. The question I want to ask is, when was the last time Pete Hegseth wasn't drinking on the job? This is a completely compromised person, and to act like we can't ask this question is absolutely absurd. And the fact that that Fox host had to cut the interview so quickly. You could see Tommy still trying to get words in. Most times when people come on to do a hit on a live cable show, it's about 5 minutes. That clip was about 3 because she had just had enough. She didn't want her viewers to hear the truth, which is that Pete Hegseth is completely compromised and shouldn't have a job. And of course, That point is being made on every other network and was made by Eric Swalwell on MSNBC right here.
Congressman Swalwell, we have heard from a number of individuals today. We saw that very explosive hearing, and I have more sound. I'm going to play from it. But we also heard from Leader Hakeem Jeffries today, and he wrote a letter to Donald Trump about Pete Hegseth, saying the Secretary of Defense should be fired immediately. What is the conversation inside the House Democratic Caucus tonight?
Simone, it's been a long day at the Capitol for me. Are you telling me that Pete Hegseth is still the Secretary of Defense and he's not been fired?
That would be seem to be the case. I'm checking my phone feverishly, though.
That's insane. This guy, by the way, they want to fire everyone at the CIA and FBI, and they want to replace it with this. I mean, Hegseth should be gone. Frankly, everyone on that group chat who didn't say, hey, who is this weird number that isn't responding? They should never have access to classified information. They also should all be told to turn over who their signal contacts are so that we can understand what other exposure that we have. Because I'm going to go out on a limb and guess that these morons have been doing this on other operations and that we are probably exposed in other ways.
What are House Democrats going to do? Because if this shoe were on the other foot, if we were talking about Democrats, I don't care what administration it was, I highly doubt that Republicans would let it go by the wayside just because they were in the minority.
Simone, there's a hearing tomorrow on the House side in front of the Intel Committee, and I hope somebody asks the question that I did not hear asked in the Senate today, which is, will you use Signal for future operations? Because that'll be quite telling. If the answer is no, it's an acknowledgement that they shouldn't have been using it in this way in the first place. And if the answer is yes, that's also concerning that they have not learned their lesson. But look, we can't count on any Republicans to save us. And some of these folks are very nice people. Don Bacon is a nice guy. Nice is not the problem. Their votes are the problem. And every single time they will vote to protect Donald Trump and this insanity and idiocy that is making our troops less safe. So we just have to go beat them in the districts where we've got a shot so we can cut our time in this Trump hell in half.
Congressman, before I let you go, I guess, you know, the leader in the Senate, Chuck Schumer, has said that the way in which that he's posturing, trying to fight the Trump administration and work with his Republican allies, that this worked in 2017. And there are many of us who believe this is not 2017, that the Republican Party is in a very different place. The lack of outrage from Republicans, particularly in the United States Senate today, leads me to believe that perhaps Senator Schumer's calculation here is a little off. I'm wondering what you think.
Look, the division I see in our party right now is not between left and center left. The division is between old tactics and new tactics. And we're not going to win, this moment by using old tactics. And so we have to always be on. We have to be everywhere, not just in the podcast space, but in the country. That's why I went to Anna Paulina Luna's district this weekend. With 2 days' notice, David Jolly and I, a former Republican, had a town hall with 600 people and a 1,500-person wait list, and there were a lot of Republicans who showed up. So we need to bring them into our movement. We can't make it so hard to be a Democrat. You don't have to be perfect. You don't have to be pure to be a Democrat. If you share our values of freedom over fascism, you should be on our team and help us win.
This guy should not have a job. I can't believe he still does. I can't believe he even had a job at Fox. I know they're not hiring the best and the brightest, Jessica Tarlov exempt from that. But how is this man employed by anyone? Remember in his confirmation hearing when we were talking about the other organizations he had run or been involved with, the ones he got fired from because he was such a mess? And now he is failing to oversee 3 million people in the U.S. military? It's a joke. We've got to keep calling it out, and we're going to every single day on this show. If you want to support that, as always, you can hit that subscribe button, leave a like on this video, and if you stuck around to the end, drop a blue heart in the comments. Until next time, I'll see you.